The turning point was Superstorm Sandy ended up with 12 feet of water right where we're standing, and a lot of the land in the areas around us just started disappearing. They were inundated, it became slurry and disappeared, and it continues throughout every nor'easter that we have. And a perfect example of where we lose land is right behind us. This property behind us was 110 acres. It is now 34. We lost 410 feet of property from the bank that's there today to what was back in 1931.
Superstorm Sandy brought a lot of it to the forefront, especially down in that area with the high flooding and from the storm. The devastation to the homes is what really caught everybody's attention, so to speak, when they first got a chance to look at the devastation that did to that front row of homes there on Osborne Island. Obviously that, sparked and rung the alarm bell.
We ended up getting the grant for the NIFWITH project through a consulting firm, BRS, and it was for shoreline and marsh restoration. The shoreline restoration is what has happened here at the south end of Green Street, and also what has happened over in Iowa Court in Little Egg Harbor.
So the next step was obviously there were some grant opportunities. That particular grant was a shared grant with two towns, Little Egg Harbor and Tuckerton, to do some storm shore resiliency projects. Several goals in mind is to obviously protect homes, but yet continue to rebuild our shoreline, kind of make it look like years ago.
The grant actually covered all the soft costs, which was the engineering, the testing, engineering, et cetera, and then they covered the cost of bringing in the engineer and then eventually bringing in the contractor to do the project. The shoreline restoration ends up being a plus because we can actually go back out to the 77 tide line, create a living shoreline, and actually put fill behind it and regain some property and make it a barrier for the water and the tides to stop coming into land and beating everything up.
The Barnegat Bay Partnership got involved with this project with the two communities, Little Egg Harbor and Tuckerton, following Hurricane Sandy, when the Department of Interior issued post-Sandy recovery funding through the National Fish and Wildlife Foundation. The municipalities put together a resiliency grant, but part of the requirements for the grant was to have a local partner and match. So they approached the New Jersey Corporate Wetlands Restoration Partnership, which is made up of corporate entities throughout New Jersey who dedicate funding towards wetlands and aquatic projects throughout the state. The municipalities then approached the Barnegat Bay Partnership and asked us if we would be willing to do post-project monitoring for a period of 5 years as part of their grant. We said yes, because we have been doing coastal wetlands monitoring here in Barnegat Bay for the last decade.
So my name is Emily Pearl and I work for the Barnegat Bay Partnership. And we are here to do the monitoring of the living shoreline that was put in. We were here before they put the shoreline in, and we took a whole bunch of very specific measurements, everything from elevation to vegetation. We've done fish surveys, a little bit of soil work. This is where everything will end. So this is as built, all the construction part is done, and now it's just the monitoring that we'll be doing going forward. So it'll be interesting. We've taken measurements behind the shoreline over here, so back in the grasses where they've put the new plugs, but we've also continued the monitoring down the shoreline where there is no protective forces to see now if that's protected, if there's any changes on this side. So we've taken the same metrics over here, and it'll be a interesting comparison.
Now that the project is completed, we will continue to do monitoring twice a year, or if there is a major storm. So if there is damage from a storm, we will work with the community to correct the situation to allow the project to continue to succeed.
And it certainly has, again, opened a lot of people's eyes to what could be done in the future, depending on funding.
Need to plan. It's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take probably years to do, but if you don't start now, it's never going to happen.